Melville Fuller was born on February 11, 1833 in Augusta, Maine. He graduated from Bowdoin College, and from there he attended Harvard Law School. After his years at Harvard Law School, Fuller married Calista Reynolds. After her death, Fuller then married his second spouse, Mary Ellen Coolbaugh, where he ended up with 7 children in total from both of his marriages. Later on in his years, Fuller was elected as a Democrat to the Illinois Constitutional Convention of 1861 and to State House of Representatives in 1862. In his succeeding years, he was offered the positions of Chairman of the Civil Service Commission and Solicitor General of the United States by none other than President Grover Cleveland. After Fuller declined both positions, President Grover Cleveland appointed Fuller as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in 1888. One landmark case for the Fuller Court was the Pollock v. Farmers Loan and Trust Company, which was used to declare the Income Tax Act of 1894 unconstitutional. Congress passed the Income Tax Act of 1894 to tax people with incomes over $4,000 with no provision for appointment. The Fuller Court ruled the income tax unconstitutional. This ruling stood until 1913 when the 16th Amendment to the Constitution was adopted. The most discredited case of the Fuller Court was Lochner v. New York in 1905. New York passed a law in 1895 to try to protect workers and reform what it saw as unhealthy and unfair working conditions. This law limited the number of hours a baker could work to 10 per day or 60 per week. Lochner filed suit against the state of New York that the law was unconstitutional because it violated his liberty to contract, which between his businesses and his employees. He cited the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, which guarantees the right to property. He said this guarantee protects the individual's right to buy and sell their labor freely. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Lochner in a split 5-4 decision and ruled the New York law unconstitutional.
This is the Supreme Court case of Bush versus Gore. This is former Vice President Albert Gore. He was running in the 2000 election against none other than former Texas Governor George W. Bush. The election caused some controversy due to several media sources claiming that there are several votes from different states, such as Florida, that were different. CNN claimed it was higher. Other news resources say it was lower. Most went off of what CNN had said. Due to the mass confusion of where the votes have gone, the state of Florida has a law that allows any senator that's running for the presidency to issue a manual recount. President Gore took that option, and therefore the state of Florida courts had issued a manual recount. Florida law permitted Gore to select up to 4 counties within the state. Those counties were Miami-Dade, Volusia, Palm Beach, and Broward. All 4 were complaining about machine issues on where the votes were being placed. The Supreme Court stepped in and declared the recount as an unconstitutional action due to the breaking of the 14th Amendment and that some of the votes were being protected, whereas the others were not. This also breaks equal action rights. By December 12th, Bush versus Gore was already over. The Supreme Court had issued a deadline for the state of Florida to submit the votes. However, they could not meet the deadline. So, by default, George W. Bush was declared the de facto winner, causing him to win the 2000 election. Post-election, it caused mass confusion. Certainly, we did not know who truly won the election. It could have been Gore, or it could have been Bush. The American public was held at a constant confusion. But it happened.